Welcome back. Now at the half-year mark, Santam grew its top line by 10%, while the bottom line shot up 35%. This largely thanks to diversification across the short-term insurers market segments, as well as progress with its FutureFit 2030 strategy. Company CFO Wikus Olivier joins us now with a closer look at those numbers. Wikus, thank you for your time and good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on the show.
I will be very honest, because very impressive performance, a top line growth in double digits, and it shows we managed margins really well because that's trickled down to the bottom line. I'm keen to understand this picture from your perspective.
Well, thank you very much. And yes, it has been a pleasing performance for us. As we highlighted in previous results announcements, our underwriting margin has been under pressure from a combination of increased vehicle thefts, claims inflation, and of course dealing with severe weather events over the last couple of years. So we've put in a lot of effort across the board from underwriting perspective to deal with all of those issues, from improved risk management to also segmented premium increases, etc. And the benefits of that has come through in this round, and we're now back within our 5 to 10% underwriting margin range.
Also interesting here, and I think I would have said it to our analyst earlier, often we see, because that when consumers are cash strapped, like they have been over this last few years and even months, they often pull back on short-term insurance. Have you not seen that trend really emerging through at Santam?
We have seen some of that in certain of our market segments, but I think the experience that consumers have had with load shedding, losses from heavy rains and flooding, etc., has actually also proved the importance of having insurance. And that's also helped us to retain clients. But from a pricing perspective, we understand the pressure that consumers and our clients are under. So we've done our utmost best to make sure that premium increases are as low as possible, to make sure that the affordability is managed very effectively.
Let's also find out about catastrophe losses and how they're shaping your strategy, even how they're shaping provisioning for claims there. Because I imagine that it's such an uncertain environment. If you look at the weather and what it can do, it's very hard to plan. But when you are an insurer, you have to figure out how to plan for it.
Yes, and unfortunately, in the last few years, we have experienced more catastrophe events in South Africa, which was known to be a benign environment from a CAT perspective. So weather events has been around for the last few years. Last year, we had experienced heavy flooding, but in the first half of this year, it was even more severe, with more than 600 million rand worth of claims. So what we have done is we've rolled out what we call our geocoding exercise, where we are looking at the location of each and every property, how close it is to waterways, how prone it is to flooding, to make sure that we select our risk appropriately and also make sure that we price appropriately for the risk. And then we also work with our clients from a risk management perspective and really helping them to make sure that should they experience a CAT event, that the loss is again as little as possible.
I also see that we have pointed out here weak vehicle sales as just something worth noting at this time, because how material is this on Santam's ability to acquire new business?
It does have, unfortunately, a very negative impact, because we are also reliant on growth in the motor market. So if your new vehicle sales doesn't come through, it does limit our ability to grow our book, especially to add on new policy units as well. Without a growing market, effectively the new business that's moving around is clients switching between insurance companies.
Very interesting indeed. Now, I'd like to also talk about the FutureFit 2030 strategy. We're well within it, I think almost, a few years away, of course, from 2030. But where are we faring in terms of putting this strategy out here? Because where are we seeing more potential for growth?
Yeah, so we are very well on our journey on executing on the FutureFit strategy, the new operating model that's focused on omni-channel distributions in place. And we're already seeing the benefits of that coming through. So for us, our independent broker market is still an extremely important market and the biggest part of our business today. So for us, it's all about defending our market share within the broker space and even growing it as far as possible. But then also to focus on those market segments where we don't have a fair market share yet. And that's specifically within the direct space where we operate on both the MyWay and the Santam Direct brand. And then also important for us, also from an inclusion perspective, is to grow through partnerships where your cost of acquisition is much lower and where insurance can be much more affordable, especially for your lower income market that currently does not have insurance cover. So it's all about closing the insurance gap and making sure that we include as many as possible clients in the insurance covenant.
I'm going to touch on the balance sheet, how that is looking from your perspective there, and if there is room to keep taking advantage of inorganic growth opportunities.
So from a balance sheet perspective, we remain well capitalized. We set a solvency target range of between 145 and 165%. At the mid-year point, we're at 158% level, which is well within that target range. So there is opportunity. If an opportunity comes along, we can execute on inorganic growth. But to be honest, our focus, especially outside of South Africa, is more on organic growth through our reinsurance and specialty business.
Then I'm keen just to take a look at the outlook here and what we're guiding for looking ahead, because also considering that we are expecting macros to improve not only here at home but globally.
Yes, so we're also confident in after the elections and the formation of the Government of National Unity that the reforms that was put in place to address the limitations to economic growth, that those will continue. So we're also very positive that we will see the economy improving, but that won't necessarily improve markedly in the second half of the year. So I think we'll still be dealing with a relatively unsupportive environment, but that will change over the medium to the longer term. So we are, from a growth perspective, positive, but we remain cautious from a claims perspective because we don't foresee that the weather events will necessarily change significantly in the second half of the year.
Well, because it's been a pleasure going through the set of numbers with you this afternoon. Thank you so much for taking us through them. That was Santam CFO, Wikus Olivier.